2 seconds to go. This will be the last play of the first half. Pastorini fires deep. This will be right into the hands of number 44, Richmond Flowers. And the clock is gone, and the Giants intercepted 4 passes. What a way to end the half for Don Pastorini.
Well, hello. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. And welcome to the Gridiron. Before I get started, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone out there who's been watching my videos. Thank you. If you can maybe give this video a thumbs up or possibly leave a comment below or maybe even share this video, it would mean so much to me. But at least anyway, just thank you so much for just taking time out of your day to check out this video. Thank you. Well, we got ourselves a defensive coordinator. And even, well, I mean, Patrick Graham was, I guess, the favorite because, I guess the job is pretty much his to lose, I guess, if you want, you know. If you didn't want to go someplace else, you know, basically the job was his. But what I was also hearing anyway with Patrick Graham was, he's there with Josh McDaniels. He's familiar with him. They both spent time at in New England, so there's the familiarity there. But also, I was hearing is that he's good friends with Brian Flores too, and I guess it is some of it. What the certain percentage is, you don't know. But I mean, yeah. One year the Giants is your dream job, and all of a sudden it's like, not anymore. It's not. So I guess it's the familiarity with Josh McDaniels, and I guess Brian Flores. Kind of, the suit that he has, against the NFL, and also, in particular, also the Giants being racially, the suit. So I guess what I was hearing today is that it would be kind of Patrick Graham would be kind of maybe slapping his friend in the face if he wound up going back to the team that his friend is, filing suit against for, racially, the interviews and all that and everything. So that's what I just heard that actually yesterday. I heard that. So I mean, I don't know how much how much is all true and everything, but it was Patrick Graham's job to lose, or and he went someplace else. So then all along, a couple of weeks we've been looking for a defensive coordinator. Don Wink Martindale was, if Patrick Graham was one, Don Martindale was like the second. I mean, just what I've been reading, from certain sources. And so, he's our guy. All right. He's been in coaching in the NFL since 2004. He broke in with the Oakland Raiders, as their linebackers coach. He spent the last 10 seasons with the Ravens from 2012 to 2021. He's been the Ravens defensive coordinator since 2018. So the last 4 seasons, Martindale's been the defensive coordinator for the Ravens. And he's gotten the first 3 seasons, he got some very impressive results. In 2018, his defense was number 1 overall, fewest yards allowed. They were number 2 in points allowed. And they were number 2 in first downs allowed. I mean, their defense in 2018 was really special. And you got to have some special guys on the defense as well too. But he was the mastermind behind it. A phenomenal first season. Second season was just almost as good. In 2019, the defense was number 4 overall in yards allowed. They were number 3 overall in points allowed, and they were number 2 overall in first downs allowed. So once again, first year and the second year, just phenomenal results. The third year was really, really good too. They wound up being number 7 in yards allowed overall. I mean, okay, he went from 4 to 7, all right, but they were number 2 in points allowed. They did go from numbers 2 in the first down, fewest first downs allowed, to number 16, so they fell to like the middle of the pack in the amount of first downs that they gave up. But still, they were second in the NFL in points allowed. So very, very impressive. This past season, I'm going to go over this more in depth toward the end of the video. But his defense this year, they took a big slide. They went from number 7 in 2020 to this year they were number 25. They were number 19 in points allowed. So they went from number 2 in points allowed to number 19 in points allowed. And they gave up 16. So they were right in the middle of the pack once again as far as the amount of first downs they gave up. But so their defense did slide back quite a bit. Obviously there's a reason for it. But the one thing that kind of bothers me, I guess maybe a little bit. He's got some good numbers, and at the end of the day, giving up a small amount of yards, but also the amount of points you're giving up too. That's very, very impressive. Just that, they don't seem to get a lot of sacks, and they don't seem to get a lot of turnovers. They had 1 year or so they had a decent amount of turnovers, but they don't get a lot of anything. They get some pressure and all and everything, but they keep the score down. They don't give up a lot of yards and all that. But the sacks, actually this past season, Seattle, the Ravens, and the Giants all had 34 sacks. So they didn't have a lot of sacks this year. 2020, the Giants had 40 sacks. The Ravens only had 39. In 2019, the Giants, I think, had 36 sacks. The Ravens only had 37 sacks. 2018, they did nice. They had 43. Certainly, obviously, in the upper echelon, 43. But, they don't seem to, with him anyway, to get a plethora of, sacks. Also, the same thing kind of like with turnovers. 2018, when they gave up the fewest yards, the second fewest points and all, they were tied for 22nd overall. They only got 17 turnovers, 1 turnover a game. Now that's, when, if the Giants' offense is going to struggle this year, it might, who knows, right? But, if you get turnovers for your offense, that's huge. The 2019, they did good in 2019. They were number 7 overall. They had 25. They got 25 turnovers, all right. But then in 2020, they slipped. They were number 11 overall. They only got 22 turnovers. And this past season, they were number 29. They got only 15 turnovers. Less than 1 a game. So, I guess he dials stuff up. Where maybe it doesn't give up maybe a boatload of yards, maybe not a lot of points and all and everything. But they doesn't seem. They get some pressure, but they don't seem to get a lot of sacks, and they don't seem to create a lot of turnovers. Sometimes like with the Cowboys this year, they got some pressure, but they got a lot of turnovers. I think they had 36 for the season. It's a lot. Now the Ravens are with him anyway, we're basically a base 3-4 team, right? Which bids very well for the Giants, because that's what they were kind of running under Patrick Graham. So the amount of linebackers that they have, is the amount of linebackers that the Giants have is good, and the amount of defensive linemen that the Giants have is good. Because if we had a 3-4, which the Giants have, but he wants to go to a 4-3, now basically on what we would have a decent amount of linebackers, but if you're going down to a 4-3, we might have too many linebackers. Now you got to start getting rid of some linebackers, And if we were running a 3-4, which we were, and you got to go to a 4-3, now we may not have enough defensive linemen. So you're going to start getting rid of linebackers and start maybe bringing in defensive linemen. So it's going to change your draft strategy up maybe a little bit. But apparently what he runs is somewhat comparable to what Patrick Graham wound up running. Quite often the Ravens would send, a lot of time when I was seeing on like YouTube videos and stuff, like 2 down linemen to go along sometimes with like 3 or 4 linebackers. Sometimes 2 of the linebackers would line up at or near the line of scrimmage, so maybe to give it like a 3-man line or a 4-man line. But a lot of times it might just be like 2 defensive linemen in there. A lot of times they'd have some funky formations. So it's good, the thing that the Giants, didn't run a 4-3 or else we'd have to, start changing things around quite a bit, So we were running a 3-4. Looks like we're going to be close to a 3-4, with down Martindale here. Then also the Ravens, they would rarely, play with fewer than 5 defensive backs on the field, which is a lot, like sometimes like what the Giants would have too. So a lot of times what you would see, you might see like a 2, 4, 5 type of thing, or you might see a 3-3-5, 3-3, maybe another linebacker by the line of scrimmage, 2 off the ball, off the line, 5 guys in the secondary, or you might have a 2-4-5, just some different types of formations that they want to have. So they have a lot of times they have at least 5 defensive backs on the field, which is good. So because that bids well for the Giants, because we got some young, defensive backs that it's a shame that Sam Beal didn't wind up working out because he was young too, but wound up letting him go. But we got we drafted Darius Williams last year. We drafted Aaron Robinson last year. 2 years ago we drafted Darnay Holmes and Xavier McKinney. You got Mr. Duct Tape Julian Love there. So we got a nice decent amount. We didn't draft Adoree Jackson, but he's young and we're probably going to have him. Look, it looks like we can't get rid of him because the dead cap money would just kill us. So Adoree Jackson is young. He's not that old. So it looks like we're going to wind up having him. So that's good. So we got a nice decent amount of guys. As I said, we got 11 draft picks. We can certainly pick up at least another 1 or 2 maybe in the draft. So we'll have a nice decent amount. I didn't mention Logan Ryan because he's old. And I didn't mention James Bradbury because he might be let go. But I'm saying we got some nice guys in the secondary to start working around. All right, but if we let Bradbury go, I'll have to wind up waiting and see who we're going to have as far as if we're going to try to bring in a draft or bring in another number 1 cornerback. I'll have to wait and see. But things turns for the Ravens defense in 2011. All right, they were 25th. They turned sour. Things turned, that 2018, 19, and 20. Yeah, but 2021, that got bad. They were 25th in total defense. 363.4 yards per game they gave up. All right, and they were also last in passing yards allowed. 278.9 yards per game. Yikes. Almost 280. They're almost averaging giving up 300 yards a game passing. You'll see why in a second. But, things turned sour for them. 2021. So going into their into the final game of the season, all right, I seen this online, right? The Ravens allowed more 20-yard receptions, 72 of them, going into the last game of the season, right, than anybody else in the league. And out of those 20-plus yard receptions, the 72 of them that they gave up, 15 of them went for touchdowns. they were getting, they were giving up, like how the Giants kind of laid back a lot and let them complete passes in front of them, come up, make the tackle. I mean, the Giants gave up a couple long ones here or there, but nothing, nothing that huge. I mean, usually it was just some type of soft coverage. I mean, in the beginning they were giving up like 75, 76, 77% completion percentage. It was just like quarterback would just go, just completing passes left and right. We'd come up, maybe make the tackle, but they would just keep completing passes. But I mean, the Ravens were giving up pass completions, but they giving up long pass completions, and they had a league high, all right, of the 40-yard. They led the league in giving up 40-yard pass completions still. I mean, their defense was, was pretty atrocious this year. So after I guess the season was over, where they got John Harbaugh and Don Martindale, I guess apparently I was reading they had some conversations and all, and they just kind of mutually agreed, I guess, just to go different way. I guess I don't know if he actually got fired, but they just kind of, I don't know, just let him go, or he decided to leave, or whatever it was. But they just kind of agreed to go their own way. Now the problem was that the main problem was that they had injuries, and one of the things that what Don Martindale tried to do was as you'll see in a second, a lot of the injuries were in the secondary. They had some problems back there, a lot of injuries. So what they were doing is maybe trying to send some pressure, forcing the quarterback maybe to make quicker decisions and all, but maybe leaving the guys maybe one-on-one in the secondary, and they just want to get burned left and right. So he was trying to overcompensate for their injuries that they had, and it just didn't work out that well. I guess that they had a lot of injuries. I guess maybe the quality of depth just wasn't quite there and all. And I don't know, it just seems, I mean, he had 3 great seasons, right? And so you slip, this one year, and one bad year, and you're gone. I mean, what's it going to come to 10 years from now? A field goal kicker misses one field goal and he gets 5. I mean, the Ravens were 8-9. Now, I guess maybe some of it might be that Harbaugh was kind of a little ticked off. If the defense was a little bit better, they could have won maybe, because the Steelers just got in. The Steelers were, what were they, 9-7-1, I think it was, and they just got in. So the Ravens were 8-9. So if the Ravens could have won 2 more games, if their defense was a little bit better and could have won 2 more games, which they certainly could have, the Ravens would have been in the playoffs. But I guess I don't. It is what it is. But with their injuries, Marcus Peters, all right, he tore his ACL. All right, he was out the whole season. Good cornerback. Another cornerback, Marion Humphrey. He had a pec injury in December, and he was out since then. The defensive lineman, Derek Wolfe, he missed the whole season. He had a hip injury. Another defensive lineman, Xavier Kelly, he missed the whole season. Daleen Hayes, he's an outside linebacker. He played 1 game the whole season. He was a 5th round pick in the 2021 draft. He played 1 game. Another linebacker, L.J. Foyt, he missed the season. He tore his ACL. Another defensive back, Khalil Dorsey, he missed the season. Another cornerback that they have, Chris Wesley, he missed 11 games. And Darius Washington, he was a safety. He only played in 3 games. So I mean, they have like five or six guys in the second. There, a couple of them missed the whole season. A couple linebackers missed the whole season. A couple defensive linemen, had a boatload of injuries. Plus, I was looking. There's other guys that missed a few games here and there and all. But I mean, they had a lot of injuries. So I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, if you go to Los Angeles, the Rams, I mean, as good as they are. Well, I mean, what if Aaron Donald's out? Ramsey's out. I mean, what if all their best players are out? How good is their defense going to be? So, I mean, hopefully the Giants didn't have too much in the way, I mean, that a lot of their secondary is relatively healthy. They did lose Blake Martinez, but I mean, for the most part, their secondary was relatively healthy this year and all. Just the biggest problem with the Giants' defense this year was their offense, because they're the non-existent offense. So I mean, maybe if we can get the offense to be a little bit better, if we can stay relatively healthy on defense, hopefully Don Martindale can, at least keep up what Patrick Graham was doing, in 2020 and 2021. Keep it going. We'll have the pretty much same group of guys. You might lose a couple guys here. Might lose Blake Martinez, maybe James Bradbury, but hopefully the rest of the core of the guys will be there. And then hopefully in the draft, maybe you can draft one or two young studs, put them in there too, and hopefully, hopefully we'll be all right on defense. But again, we'll be all right on defense if we can get our offense going. Well, as always, guys, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to check out this video. You guys stay safe out there and go Giants.